Hey guys, I have been recently asked by a few people to kind of put up some videos around um, walking through like the Lazygit um, file system and where all the code lives and things like that. And I will make one of those videos pretty shortly, but today I want to look at just how you might go about doing a fairly common type of PR in the project. So in this case, we have an existing feature in Lazygit which allows me um, to visit a commit here, and you can see we've got different authors on each of the commits. And if I press A, I can reset the commit author to the currently configured user. So if I press enter here, that changes the name to my name. And I'm just going to undo that. We want to add a new variation on this feature, which is the ability to actually type in the author name yourself. So when I press A, rather than it just assuming that I want to reset the author, I wanted to show a menu with two options. So one's to reset it, and one is to just allow you to type in the actual value directly. So it's a fairly well contained feature. So I thought it would be a good idea to just kind of walk through the process of putting this into a PR. So let's start by making a new branch here. I'm going to call it set author, I guess. And I guess the first place is just deciding where to start writing the code. So here's our directory structure for the Lazygit project. Why is this thing highlighted? It's red. I've got nothing in my files changed. At any rate, so in package and then GUI, we have this thing called controllers. And so all these controllers deal with handling key presses and then deciding what to do when you press a key. So in this case, we're going to go to our local commits controller, and this is for this commits view here. And we have this method called reset author on that controller. Now, anyone who sees this self receiver name and is like, that's not idiomatic, I know about that. And I've got some strong opinions as to why we should be doing it that way everywhere, but I digress. So let's see, where is this used? So at the top of this file, we have this method called get key bindings. And we've got this key binding here that allows you to, when you press this key, which presumably is lowercase a, we call this handler, and that currently shows what we just saw before. So if I press A here, shows a little confirmation prompt, and if you press enter, it will go and reset the author name. So that's what this little thing here is doing. It's saying we want to show a pop-up that confirms something. And we have our title here, and this is just using our English internationalization file. And so yeah, this got the title, which is this guy, and the prompt, which is this guy in the middle, and then it has a handler, which is going to log the action we're doing. So that's what appears down here. And then we're going to actually go and call the code to reset the commit author, and then we'll refresh the screen. So that's what it's currently doing. So we want to be able to change this to kind of, rather than going straight to the reset action, have a menu that chooses between set and reset. So I'll start off by just kind of going to the lowest possible level in terms of what the actual git command is to set an author. So currently, let's see, we're calling this thing here, and this is in a place called commands, git commands rebase. So that's again in package. Then this git commands folder has a bunch of different wrappers around git commands. And we're currently in the rebase one. So the way it currently works is it says if the index of the commit that you've passed is 0, which means that you've chosen the very top commit here, it's just going to directly call this reset author method. Otherwise, it'll begin an interactive rebase, and then it will call reset author, and then it will continue. So that's the current code. And if we dig a bit deeper, and we go into here, so now we're in commands, git commands, commit, so it's in the same directory. And this is just calling a porcelain git command with this reset author flag. So the first question is, what's the command to do what we want to do? So let's copy this guy. I'm going to call it set author, and it's going to take an actual value. And then I'll need to work out what this thing is. So ahead of time, I've looked up what the actual command would look like, and it's saying I can use this author argument and then pass the thing in as a string. So it's like the name, and then in angle brackets here, we have the email address. So I'm going to copy that and just chuck it here. Now we have a helper method for quoting things, so that's this guy here. So I'm just going to, let's see, I'll use a format string. So let's pull this guy out. Command string. We'll say FMT. This is just a common thing that you would do in Go. And over here, we're going to just copy what this guy's doing and get our value. And I'm going to paste it in here. So this is the command that it's going to create a new command object and then just immediately run that object. So I think that should do it. It's going to quote it. Yeah, so, and then I guess here I'll just say sets the commits author to the supplied value. Value is expected to be of the form name, email. Okay, so we've got that, and then we can go back up to here and we can kind of work out what the equivalent flow is for this use case. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it. It's now going to be set commit author, and again we're going to take a value. And then here, rather than calling a reset author, I want to call set author, and then I'll say my value is passed in. So this is good, although I want to take a moment to just quickly dry this up. So like in both cases where we have some thing we want to do, and if we're dealing with the topmost commit, then we'll just go and do it directly. Otherwise, we'll wrap it in an interactive rebase. So I'll quickly just make a kind of generic amend. I'm just going to call it generic amend for now. And it's going to take a function, which returns an error. And it's going to basically do this. And over here, it's just going to call the function. I guess that comment can probably be a bit more generic now. So, okay, cool. And then over here, I'm just going to return self.generic amend. I'll pass in the commits, the index, and I'll pass in a function that returns an error. And that function is going to just do this. So now I can remove this. Okay, and then likewise over here. Cool. So that cleans it up a bit. Generic amend could probably be a nicer name for that, like amend with potential interactive rebase, but I think it's fine for now. I'll put these on top because probably is a bit easier to read that way. Okay, so now we have these two guys. So now we can get back up to here, and the question is, how do I, set the author? So maybe I'll make a new function here, and I'll call it set author. What will that need? I'm just going to grab this bit. And let's see, so I'll put a to-do in here, change the copy. So I want to change these things to not use the terminology of resetting. It's actually going to be like setting the author. Okay, so let's see, this is now going to be set commit author, but I need a value really. So where am I going to get that from? Well, let's do this. We're going to go self.c, and now the C field is this, it's just like a bunch of commonly needed fields and methods on a controller. So in this case, it's going to be C dot, and we're going to be prompting we're going to prompt the user to type it in. So we'll call prompt, and it requires prompt ops, so I'll pass that in. And what does that consist of? So we have a title. We won't need initial content because we'll just have them type it in directly. And I guess we'll have a handle confirm. So I'll just do it in like a hard-coded string for now. So title is set author, use e.g. well, must be of must look like name, email, something like that. Okay, and then I want to do handle confirm. So it's going to be a function that returns, actually how does this work? Returns an error. And I need it to, I guess, then I'll put this stuff in. Oh, my function is going to actually give me my input. I guess value would be the answer. Yeah, okay, so now I have a value. So they'll get the prompt, and then I'll type in the value, and then it will show up here. So that's pretty cool. Now, I guess we may as well just test this quickly. So I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to chuck it here. So comment this thing out. So for now, if I just press my A key binding on a commit, it's going to go straight for making me type in the name. So let's give that a go. And to run like the like current version of the program, you just do go run main.go. So I'll just commit that as a whip, and then I'll go to, actually I guess I can do it here. So I'll press A, and then okay, set author. So my author is going to be blah blah at gmail.com. Cool. Okay, my name is now blah. And you can see over here it's got the email there as well, so that is good. Okay, so that works. So now we just want to wrap it into like an actual menu where you choose between the two options. So I'm just gonna soft reset here. So let's do that. So I want to return self.c.menu, and I need to use types.create menu options. Okay, so what does that take? Okay, title, items, and I don't think I need hide cancel, so I'll just use, I guess I'll do title for now, which will be, well, I guess it'll be like amend commit attribute, because the idea is this menu might have other things like change the commit date and things like that. And then, is it items? Okay, so what do my items look like? It's an array of menu item. Okay, so I've got to give it the types prefix because that's it came from the types package. And okay, so what's the menu item have? Has a label. I think we need like label, on press, and there's also this key and the tooltip we can use. So okay, label in this case is going to be set author. Oh, hang on, I'm going to do a couple more curly braces. Okay, so label is set author, and what else was there? on press. I'm going to invoke this thing, set author. Now this doesn't actually need a commit, so I'll get rid of that. Self.setAuthor. Okay, cool. And then also I'll go key. I'll make it if you press A again, it's going to set the author. Actually, is that going to work? I might just for the sake of the muscle memory of the people who are familiar with saying like A and then enter for the reset side of things, I'll have that guy come first. So make that a reset author. And it's probably more convenient to double tap the A, so I'll make this uppercase A. Okay, so this now needs to be a reset author. Which means this no longer needs to be called reset author. I'll make this amend attribute. Okay, so now I actually need a method called reset author, so I'll just copy this, reset author, and that was this thing. Okay, now, yeah, let's do that, and then we'll get rid of this. Right, so the first one is set, or this should be set. No, reset? Yeah, reset. That's set. Okay, let's give that a go. So I've got a commit to work with again. I'm pressing A, and now, oh cool, I've got two options. So I can set my author, or I can reset my author. Now this confirmation panel is kind of redundant if you have the menu there, because like we can just have a tooltip on that thing to explain what's going to happen, and then there's no point doing a confirmation. So I'm going to do just that. I'll add a tooltip. And what am I going to say here? I'll just say this, what is it? Reset the author, commits author based to the currently configured user. And I think there was a thing in here as well about this also renews the author timestamp. This will also renew the author timestamp. I guess I'll also have a tooltip here saying set the author based on a prompt. Okay, let's do that. So if I press A, okay, I've got a tooltip now. And so now I just need to actually remove this this confirm thing. I don't need that anymore. I can just go straight to the actual action. Okay, cool. So yeah, with reset we just go straight into it, and with the set side of it we have to prompt for the actual value. So this is looking pretty good. So what is the next step? I guess a good thing to do, so like typically you're going to be using an author that you're finding somewhere else. So like this is something I do where like someone has put up a PR on a branch, but I'm kind of helping them clean things up. And sometimes that involves like squashing their commits for them, and kind of or maybe it's like reconstituting their commits based on changes that I've added as well. And I typically will want to like attribute that to that person. So I want to use their author for the commit. And now, of course, I know that certain repos disallow this by using GPG keys, but this isn't Linux. So I think it's fine to be doing this if it's not with something that's like super security critical. So given that fact, what I want to do is have like a suggestions box where as you're typing in, it can kind of suggest to you, maybe you mean this author, because it's kind of annoying to have to go, like actually type in the thing and put the angle brackets in. So let's see if we can do that. So I'll just make this a whip as well. Okay, so there is a file called suggestions. Is it suggestions helper? Okay, it's this guy here. So this file just kind of defines a bunch of ways to like generate suggestions. So I'm just going to steal an existing one of these, and I'm just going to say get authors suggestions function. I don't think I need a separator, so I'm just going to ignore that. And this is going to return a function which, when you take a string, as in like the thing that the person's already typed in, it gives you a list of suggestions. So what I need is to put something in here, and I just need to work out how to get authors. So let's see, I'm going to go slices.map, and I'm going to pass in self.model.commits. So that's this guy. So that's like the actual commits in that panel. And I'm going to use a callback function that takes a commit. So commit pointer to models.commit, and this is just like there's a package called models that just has all the different models, I guess. And in this case, our commit model has these two things here, so author name and author email. So I'm going to return a string, whoops, and I'll return this is just using that sprintf function again. So commit.authorName and then commit.authorEmail. Okay, so we're mapping across our commits, and for each one we'll generate this string that contains the author. And I'll also want to unique that, because there's probably going to be like duplicates in here. So I'm just going to use my handy unique function. I'm using low, which is like it's like a low dash for Go. Okay, so what does this thing do? Fuzzy search function. It takes a bunch of options, which is our authors, and it returns a function that takes a string and returns suggestions. And so it says if there's no input, then we just show everything. Otherwise, we use a fuzzy search based on what you've typed in and what our authors are. Okay, so back over in my set author method here, let's get back to my prompt ops. So there's a thing here called find suggestions function, which is exactly what we just saw before. So it takes the input string, returns the array or the slice of suggestions. So let's use that. Find suggestions function is, and it's going to be self.helpers.suggestions. Why is that complaining? Function. Oh, that's weird. Returns a function. Everyone else is doing that as well. Why is it? Oh, do I have to call it? Okay. Interesting. Doesn't have to close over anything, does it? I wonder why. I wonder if we could just go straight for this. No, because you have to. It's as you type it, it regenerates this thing. Okay. So let's see what that does. So I'm going to press A and then set author. Cool. So let's pick this guy. Okay, and what else can we do here? Ryuga. Sweet. And then back to me, I'll reset it. Perfect. Cool, so that is basically done. Although one thing to note, let's make another whip here. is that if I actually don't pick the topmost commit, then I actually have to do a rebase. And so if I go here and I say set my author to that, it takes a slight bit of time. So, and if I go back here, I assume it's going to be even slower. Yeah, so there's a bit of a delay there. So whenever there's a delay, I like to have a little spinner show up. So what will we do here? Let's put it in here. We'll say return self.c. Is it, yeah, with loader panel, with waiting status. That's the one. And I'll just say amending. And it's going to take a function that returns an error. And it's just going to be this. Okay, cool. So let's run that again. So press A, press set author, and then just type in something random. Okay, cool. So you can see there momentarily at the bottom left, the little loader showed up. So I'll reset it back to me. Now the reset needs this as well. So reset author. Let's give that a go. So set to this dude. Cool. Okay. So that's all looking good. So now what else can we do here? So we need to kind of like internationalize this. We don't actually need the we don't need to translate it into all the other non-English languages, but it's still good to put it in to at least put it into like the English file so that other translators can come along and create the translation. So I'm going to go to English, and that's in our i18n package here. I'm going to add, what's an example here? So this is my set author prompt title. I need to actually define that here, don't I? Oops. So at the top of the file, it's just this big, long list of strings we've internationalized. It probably should be a bit more nested, but at the moment, it's kind of just flat. So we got this guy, and then I can go back here, and I would say self dot, is it c.tr? Yeah. So like I said, this C thing contains a lot of just commonly used things. TR is just giving us this big list of strings, and then we're choosing the one that we just created. So we can do the same thing, here and here, and we probably want to update this one as well to say set commit author. Set commit author. This one. So I'm not going to bore you with going through all of those, but there's only like maybe 2 or 3 more to go. What I do want to do is quickly whip up an integration test just to verify this thing actually does what it says it does. So let's commit this. I'm just going to squash all this down. And I'm going to reword that to say, oh, you're right, because there's a bunch of whips there. Actually, was that a bug? No, we'll find out later. I'm going to reword the commit to say support setting the author of a commit. And that should actually be me who committed that, so that's good. Okay, so we now have that, and so now I want to make an integration test to verify this thing actually works properly. So I know there was already, I'll back up a second. So I've got this alias called GI, which runs this. So it's like a little, it's like a terminal UI for running integration tests. So I believe there's a test here about setting the author in the first place. Set upstream, reset author. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate that by pressing n. I'm going to rename it to set author. Okay, so it's now here. So I'll open that up. So these tests, they all live in this test folder and then in integration. Excuse me. And so I'll show you what's in here. So in the actual folder, you've got this test.json that just describes the description and the speed it's going to run at. And then you have this like bash script for setting up the repo. And there's a recording. So the way it works is you actually record it yourself and then it replays the recording. Now, there's pros and cons to that approach. I'm hoping to transition away from this to be more like you're actually just saying what's going to happen. But for now, it just records your keystrokes. So in this test, the author of the commit is reset. I guess it's just going to be set to a different name email. So, okay. So how does this work? So, git conf. So what I'm going to do is, okay, so author one example goes and does some stuff. It commits it and then it changes it. I wanted to do a bit more here. I wanted to go and add another file, call it file 3, under this name, and then I'll update one of them. So I think this should do the trick. So we'll set it back to the original name, and then we'll it'll take like a snapshot at the end. So I'm going to press R to record the test. And so it's gone and run our bash script, and now we're seeing here we have, see back here, this third file was under the different author. So now I'm going to press A, and then I'm going to go and say set author. I'm just going to choose the first one. Yep, and I can quit, and that's now saved my recording, so that's in here. Although I kind of messed around a bit before getting to the important things, so I'm just going to re-record this to make it a bit more direct. So I'll go down to here, press A, I'll set the author, and I'll select author 1, and then I'll leave. Cool, and just to verify that worked, I'm going to go into it again in sandbox mode by pressing S, and so now I'm able to steer it myself, and I'm just going to quit immediately and it'll see if it fails. Okay, so it failed, saying, yeah, it did the git log, but it got an unexpected author. So it's definitely working. And so we can watch it again by pressing T, and it's just going to flick through. Yep. So this is just the pre-recording running again, showing us what happened. So cool, that's done. Now there's some more things you could test. You could test when you actually type out the whole thing directly. You could test the error case where it's actually telling you that this isn't a valid format, for example. But for the purposes of this video, I think that's enough to demonstrate how you would go about writing an integration test. So I think we're done. We've got this. This is what the actual thing looks like. So it's just adding a bunch of it's adding like the recording and the setup script, and then this thing here is the like expected repo. So you can make a snapshot of that and then compare it to the actual repo when you run the test on CI, for example. So I'm just going to amend this guy with that, and I'm pretty sure we're done after that. Like obviously there's more things there, like this wouldn't be ready to merge immediately. You'd want to go and finish off the internationalization stuff and maybe add a couple more tests. But otherwise I'm pretty happy with it. So let's push this up. I'm going to press Shift P to push, and then I'm going to press O to open this as an actual PR. And so let's see. Before we had the A key binding, resetting the commit author. Now it opens a menu to either reset or reset the author or set based on a prompt. Yeah. Okay, and let's see, so just looking through the actual code itself, so about this guy here. I've got our suggestions function. This is now a menu. I've got our two different things here. One thing we would want to change as well is the actual description of the key binding, because if I press X here to look at all my different key bindings and I go to A, it still says reset commit author. So we want to change that to be, where is it? Where's my key bindings? Yeah, this you want to change this to say like set commit attribute, and you also want to change the name here. But alas, I won't worry about that for now. No one else, so that's that, and then we have some copy changes and then the integration test. So yeah, how long did that take? It's been going for a bit over 30 minutes, but like that's still, when you think about it, if you have a spare hour, that's a pretty good sign. Someone just gave this a rocket emoji. It's a pretty good sign that you could probably fit into 1 hour a PR where you actually make a change to Lazygit that adds a new feature. So yeah, hopefully that's kind of elucidated some of the process of adding a new feature. Many features are that simple, where you just go and find out what is the git command that you run, and then you just go and do it, and you wrap it in a menu or a prompt. I might make a video later on about like one of the more harder changes. But for many features, it really is quite straightforward. So yeah, hopefully you found that informative. So yeah, if you're an aspiring open source contributor, or you've seen Lazygit and you think you might want, maybe it's missing a feature that you want, or you're looking for just something to work on in open source, feel free to check out the issues board and pick off an issue that seems easy to tackle. And of course, in general, if you like Lazygit and you want to support me, feel free to star the repo or sponsor me through GitHub sponsors. So thanks for watching.